Control, a little bit different list.
Patrick Chapin says Esper Blade is the best deck in Legacy. Oh, he referred to it as Tom Martell deck, but
it's kind of more Sam Black deck. But we'll not going to split hairs in this one. Nick leads off with a tropical. No other play.
We've got the old school versus the new school.
It is.
Right,
it
Joshua
is.
Ravitz, old school player. We were just saying before we went live, the average person may not realize how good of a player Josh Ravitz is.
Right. This is not a name they recognize, but you know, he ran in the golden era of Magic.
Both of these guys kind of from the same area.
Yeah, they
New
are.
York, New Jersey kind of area.
Yeah. And then you know, just looking at the matchup on paper, Nick looks pretty good on paper.
Yeah, there's two kind of schools of thought here. Yeah, go ahead, explain what
Nick
said
looks great on paper, but it's a very complicated matchup, and so play skill is going to really come into this one. Figuring out which lines to go with, incredibly important. And if Nick chooses to, there's certain lines that if Nick takes, Josh gets huge advantages on.
So Josh is casting Inquisition of Kozilek, and Nick responds with a Brainstorm to hide anything that he figures is a likely target for that Inquisition.
Nothing else to lose. Looks like he has like at least a few forces in his hand.
Yeah,
three forces.
Wow. Three forces, Dark Blast, Innocent Blood, and Polluted Delta.
And really, none of these cards are particularly good in this matchup. None of these
Inquisition targets?
Yeah, Inquisition targets are particularly good. So
he's going to take the Innocent Blood.
I imagine he will. Yes, and he does. And so Nick successfully hid himself from getting, too much damage done by that. Looks like he drew a Spell Snare.
Yeah.
So that will counter something good of Ravitz. Could counter a Stoneforge.
So Ravitz now has a Brainstorm of his own. Sees Snapcaster force Swords to Plowshares. So
he has both his Batterskull and his Jit in his hand.
That's a little awkward.
Looks like he's going to put one back. I imagine he's going to crack this fetch.
Yeah.
Get rid of it, and that way next turn when he actually, if he tries to cast a Stoneforge next turn,
and resolves it,
it will get +1 card.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. Very awkward to be drawing your tutor targets, but Brainstorm and fetch lands
Brainstorm helps
solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean, you probably remember when playing Cobblade. Sometimes you would just, if you were kind of out of tutor targets, you just put them back on top of your library with Jace, and then you'd re-Stoneforge them up.
Yeah.
Just get another card out of it.
So yeah, Nick very prepared for this deck. I think he has his sideboard is very live. He's got that the Dread of Night, 2 copies of that, which we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, that's in after sideboard. That is real big. It just deals with so many of Ravitz's threats.
So a Ponder from Josh. Sees Stoneforge. I believe was that Lingering Souls?
That wasn't Lingering
else?
Souls, and I believe a Marsh Flats maybe.
Okay. So Nick on paper, at first glance, seems to have a pretty good plan against this deck and sideboard as well. But we were just talking to Mike Flores, and Mike, actually very good friends with Josh, came down here with Josh, and obviously rooting for Josh. Probably helped Josh prepare for this matchup quite a bit.
Right.
He says Nick really only has so many win conditions if they match Jaces, right? Their Jaces cancel each other out. Nick only has six. I think he said 3 win conditions besides Jace, and Josh has access to 6 Swords to Plowshares.
Right.
And Nick can't play Knight of Souls Betrayal because that kills his own Snapcasters and makes his Mistress Factories 1/1s. So
and his Tar Pit only a 2/1.
Yeah, and his Tar Pit just a 2/1. So basically, I think the plan is, if I understood Mike correctly, is that Josh is just going to try to keep Jace off the table and basically use all his Swords to Plowshares to deck Nick. Like that just happened. That he has no win conditions.
It is quite a plan.
And that's a very old school way to think too. I mean, decking kind of a natural decking. Okay, so you've got a Stoneforge Mystic from Josh getting a Spell Snare from Nick. A natural decking like that is something that you don't see very often anymore, but it was something that happened a lot with the old draw-go control decks. I'm decking you. I'm not casting some crazy mill spell on you. I'm just making it so you don't win until you're out of cards.
Yep, Lingering Souls from Josh. That resolves, and he plays a Flooded Strand. So 2 1/1s on Josh's side of the board. Nick's side, still pretty bare.
Tropical Island and a fresh Underground Sea.
Right. Nick obviously having a few mana issues. He's stumbling a bit. He needs to draw more lands. Certainly, anytime you have a control matchup like this, drawing lands is pretty important. You need to be able to match your opponent land for land as long as possible.
So end of turn, he Dark Blasts one of those spirits.
Dark Blast is largely dead in his deck. He doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, so...
Yeah, I mean, I like this this plan. I mean, Lingering Souls is such a kind of card advantage machine there.
Yeah, it is.
Dark Blast kind of helps compensate for that because, Nick can just mill himself. Now, knowing Josh is on the decking kind of plan, maybe Dark Blast, dredging Dark Blast back.
No, but I think the whole point of using it there is that he doesn't have a lot of targets for it.
Right, so
there's no reason to save it for a long time. He's really just going to sit around and try to keep Josh from just getting out 4 spirits and getting him so low that he deals with them that any single threat can take him out pretty easily. Inquisition from Nick.
Yeah,
we're
gonna get it on the table. There we go. All right.
Snapcaster, 2 swords,
Vendilion Click, and Force of Will.
Right.
Yeah. In the meantime, as we were chatting, Josh flashed back the Lingering Souls.
Nick, he does have these Force of Wills in his hand. He can stop the swords. He can stop the Vendilion Click, but what do you want to what do you want to do with the least? I'm thinking it's either going to be Snapcaster or Vendilion Click.
Yeah, I think I take Snapcaster because I feel like as good as Vendilion Click is, Nick is going with.
Yeah.
Good as Vendilion Click is, Snapcaster represents a lot of good spells on its own.
He's already fairly far behind, and he just the Dark Blast he can always dredge and try to get rid of Vendilion Click. The Snapcaster Mage is going to get a Brainstorm or something like that. Ooh, another Lingering Souls from Josh. In for 3. Nick went to 18, now he goes to 15. I imagine Josh will cast another Lingering Souls here. Needs to just put in enough pressure on that Nick is going to have to deed, he's going to have to do something, and he's light on land, he doesn't have a whole lot else. Maybe he has to counterspell this. Is it? It's not a counter you want to. It's not a counter you want to counterspell.
No, not at all. But at the same time, it does represent 2 guys.
Right. Nick obviously wants to keep Josh off of a Jace. That Jace is going to be huge in this matchup. When you're so far behind, you do have to worry that at any point that Josh draws a Jace, it's going to take so much for Nick to keep from hitting play.
So it resolves.
5 tokens. And Josh really just gets to sit now if he wants to. He can just,
just sit back
settle with hitting for 5 every turn
until you deal with it. I mean, he's got a 3-turn clock here, 2 more turns.
Make Nick tap out if Nick gets a deed.
Yeah, Nick does have access to 3 Pernicious Deed main deck.
Right. If he gets a deed, that will take care of all the spirits for 3 to cast, 0 to below it. But
as will Maelstrom Pulse.
As will Maelstrom Pulse. But Josh, first of all, Josh, if he wanted to, if he pulses, can simply Swords one of the spirits. And then Nick has to Force a Will if he wants to keep those guys from dying.
That's true. There we have a Jace.
Yeah.
That is the altered art Jace. It's a League of Legends character, from what we understand. I don't play that game, so I don't know.
Yep. And I imagine he's, this is an unfortunate use for Jace. He pretty much just has to use it as Brainstorm. Bouncing a token's not going to do much. Now, Nick, it looks like has another Jace
He does.
So it's not the end of the world. He's going to prevent a lot of damage. Josh, if he really wants to, I believe he could force it, but he chooses not to. He already knows Nick's hand is just full of forces. No reason to fight over this. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, so Nick goes with the Brainstorm. Sees another Wasteland and Liliana, I believe, and something else. And can't quite see it. The something else was the card. I think he's putting 2 down on the bottom there.
So we might never see it.
Yeah.
Now I think, well, yeah, if I'm Josh, I'd definitely been doing click here.
Yeah.
You need to make Nick waste those Force of Wills, get as many 2-for-1s as you can right now.
And that's what he does. Force of Will,
Yep.
removing Force of Will.
Keep the pressure on Nick. Come in with a few spirits are going to hit Nick, a few spirits are going to hit.
So he could, yeah, I was going to say, he's got a couple options here. So he's going to go ahead and kill Jace that way, and he's probably going to try to land a Jace of his own because he just top decked one.
He definitely is going to play his own Jace here. That means Nick is going to have to Force of Will it.
Or you know, basically play his own Jace again. You know, I don't know how many Force of, he's got 1 Force of Will left.
The problem, of course, with playing it himself is
he just loses it.
Right, he just loses. The Force of Will in his hand is now dead because he's going to take 5 damage from the spirits. Take him to 1, so he has really no other choice but to, I think, force it and then
force
hope
Jace here. Yeah.
Actually, that maybe he has to let it resolve and just let Josh have the Jace for a while because he does force it. He goes to 5, so he has to have a way to. He needs to have a way to deal with these spirits because he is now dead on board.
Yeah,
barring something like Pernicious Deed right here to blow him up.
He's got a Liliana in hand alongside a Jace. He's got 2 Planeswalkers in hand.
Right.
I believe he just removed Counterspell to pay for that force.
All right.
And
let's see. So now he's got a big decision here. Is he drawing yet? He's thinking about, I think, dredging Dark Blast or not. The big downside of dredging Dark Blast, well, one of the many downsides he does, is that okay, so he knows that none of those cards are going to do him anything.
Yeah,
he can only kill 1 spirit. He is still going to go down to 1.
He can't play Jace.
And I think you have to do it on your turn.
Looks like he did it on Josh's turn.
Josh's turn, okay. Does Josh have any standard counter spells? He has 1. I guess he only has 1 actual counter spell. But you don't want him to, randomly just counter it.
Yeah.
And then you're just totally dead.
So now Joshua attacking with the Force remaining spirits after losing 1 to Dark Blast, but Nick on a precarious 1 life here. It looks like.
It's next card's got to be a Pulse or a Deed. That is the only thing that's going to save him.
Stoneforge Mystic from Josh.
Stoneforge getting their equipment. If he draws a Deed, he's not going to have the mana to both Deed and kill the Stoneforge.
Yeah, this is. I believe at this point it's on to game 2. But
yeah, I think there's no question that Nick is stumbling on that early mana, just putting him too far behind. He had all these Force of Wills, which work great if you're trying to get a Jace into play. Does not work so great if you're in a situation where you are behind, and he was behind. Had a 2 for 1 himself a few times, and that let Josh Ravitz take the first game.
Yeah, Josh gave him still had all these Jaces and Force of Wills.
Little rubbins. Nothing wrong with little rubbins now and then.
So yeah, it's interesting looking at like we were saying, Nick's deck is set up for this kind of matchup, but like you said, he stumbled on early mana, and we didn't see any of those cards. He's got, going down just his main deck. There was no Pernicious Deed, of which he has 3. There was no Maelstrom Pulse, that's 1, but there's 4 cards. No Knight of... He's got 5 cards there that would have been great right there if he could resolve one.
The card he doesn't have, and I'd like to thank Nathan Holt, Walk the Plains. They did he pointed out that if Nick had been playing Stormcrow, he could have blocked spirits all day long. But, you know, Wizards has been talking very heavily about banning Stormcrow.
Stormcrow's
for just being too good. And Covermere, we're pretty sure that's on the next ban list.
Yeah, probably.
It's just so much better than Stormcrow. And Stormcrow's already pretty far up there in terms of cards on the watch list. So Nick might have made a mistake by not including it. I don't know. I just don't know. Now, sideboarding. Nick has
He has 2 Dread of Night. We already talked about that.
Dread of Night, again, a card you might not remember unless you were playing 12 years ago.
In fact, I completely forgot what it does. Why don't you tell us, Sam?
It's a 1 mana black enchantment from Tempest. It says all white creatures get -1/-1. All of them. Josh Ravitz has a few white creatures.
In fact, he just won the game with 5 of them on board,
right.
Not even counting the Stoneforge Mystic.
Not even counting the Stoneforge Mystic, yeah. 1 Dread of Night right there. Kills them all.
Except for the Stoneforge Mystic.
Except for the Stoneforge. But it kills all those, 1 mana.
Neutralizes that Stoneforge
Mystic
to some degree.
Yeah, a 1 mana black enchantment deals with 4 Lingering Souls and everyone that's flashbacked in Josh Rabbit's deck. That card is certainly going to come up.
He's also got Scavenging Ooze, which is a nice beatdown kind of guy. It's I feel like it has its uses. If a Lingering Souls finds its way into the graveyard and it does not happen to be a Dread of Night, it's also pretty good against Snapcaster Mage. It's just a one of.
Yeah.
I like that. He's also got 2 Vendilion Clicks to add in here.
Yeah,
I think
if he wants to, and he might need a few more win conditions in this matchup. It's
right.
going to be very hard fought.
It's got some Nile Spellbombs in there too, but I don't know that they're necessarily for this match.
No, I don't think they are, and especially again, with bringing the Dread Knight, he probably doesn't need him as much.
Right.
Now, if Mike Flores' advice was correct, saying that if Nick Spagnolo resolved a Knight of Soul Betrayal, he's in big trouble. That was Flores' take on the situation, that Knight's going to remove so many of Nick's win conditions and make his old deck take so long that Josh has the time for his deck to take over.
Right.
If that's the case, then maybe Nick takes it out.
Yeah.
I think we saw it earlier in the Swiss. He was playing against one of these decks and he did not take it out. So
yeah, I'd imagine. I think he keeps it. I think, all right, just obviously, like we were saying earlier, with Josh naturally drawing his equipment, if he has the Knight of Souls Betrayal and he's in a situation where he was like the one he was just in, I think you just have to play it. Like
you do.
You're gonna lose otherwise.
Right.
So if he's in a situation where it seems that he's got to consider that losing his win conditions, I think he's got ways to brainstorm it away if he turned it into a live card instead of a dead card.
Yeah, certainly. That's certainly true.
I think I'd rather have it just in case. I mean, it's basically a kind of a day of judgment kind of thing here, although it's permanent.
It is permanent. It is quite good. Yeah, so he doesn't have... the other card he can bring in if he wants to is Raven's Crime. Raven's Crime means that with a Life from the Loam, he gets to just strip Ravitz' hand every turn.
We actually saw that happen in one of his camera matches earlier in the weekend, where I don't know if it was me and JVL.
It was you and JVL. I was kind of that. I was looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, he definitely had Life from the Loam going, not with Raven's Crime, but with Wasteland.
Ooh.
So it's a Life from the Loam, just a 2 of, but that's a nice strategy to go on. Nice way to lock your opponent out.
Yeah.
And Raven's Crime, very similar, denying different resources, but making Life from the Loam, Raven's Crime, stripping their hand instead of their mana base.
Right. So going into game 2, both players in their hand, deciding whether or not they want to keep them. Nick seems on a similarly light mana hand from last time, though maybe he has a few better options than simply a handful of Force Wills. Josh
doing
that peek mulligan.
Yep.
Now it's not a big problem if you go peek mulligan. It's a big problem if you go peek keep.
Yeah, that's quite a different animal.
Quite a different animal. People do that sometimes.
That's pretty bad.
People do that sometimes. They don't realize that. you know, when you're playing with your friends, and you know, you got a pizza, and you got some Mountain Dew, and you're sitting around, and you're like, you know, playing Commander. You're like, yeah, whatever, peek, peek, keep. I'll be okay. That's fine. When in a tournament, and you go peek, peek, keep, it does not turn out as well. Just really doesn't turn out well at all, actually, when it comes down to it. Don't do that.
Peek, keep, lose. I think is.
Peek, keep. Yeah, especially if it's peek, peek, keep without lie to judge.
Yeah.
That's even worse. Don't do that.
For sure. I don't think you should lie to anybody, but lying to a judge in a tournament will have immediate repercussions.
Not a good idea. Turns out they're pretty good at figuring that stuff out. And it is punishable by a DQ and possibly a ban. So, tournament officials, tell them the truth.
For those of you who may be just tuning in, I'm Joey Pasco here with Sam Stoddard, and we are covering the Invitational quarterfinals here at the StarCityGames.com Invitational in Baltimore.
We are.
Nick Spagnolo versus Josh Ravitz. Josh up a game right now. Nick, little man of light, and could not find an answer to any of Josh's lingering threats.
Nope, his souls are not going away. And this hand for Josh does not look tremendous either.
No, it doesn't. Is that a one-lander?
I believe it is a one-lander. Yep, he's getting... he's Inquisition. He forces it. Partially, maybe partially because he doesn't want to know they kept the one-lander. He's hoping to draw the second land so he can say, I kept the two-lander.
Yeah, so that Inquisition does not resolve. Inquisition becomes him to Torok there.
It did. It got two Force Wills.
And Josh cracks that flooded strand for a basic island. Is that a Guru Island?
Guru Island, yes.
Very nice.
Josh believes in playing very nice cards. It's kind of the Cadillac of islands to get down to it.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah. Island being the Cadillac of basic lands, I think.
Right, so it's the Cadillac of Cadillacs.
Yeah.
It's actually a Cadillac with another Cadillac inside of it.
And we've got a brainstorm. So, main phase brainstorm.
Looking for another land.
And he sees one.
There's
he sees two. He sees a surgical extraction, I think.
Yeah, he does. Surgical going to be quite good here. It's going to keep any life consumption shenanigans from getting too out of control.
It's gonna.
But it's going to go on top because we are not. He is not in a position where that is going to do a whole lot.
So I think he put extraction, and I didn't see what the other card was that he put on top.
Nor did I.
All right.
But now we're going to find out.
Yeah.
It was Inquisition.
Okay. Nick just played a Tropical Island past. Underground Sea from Josh, and an Inquisition. Inquisition meets Spell Pierce.
You got two more? No, you don't. Thanks.
And Nick untaps.
My turn.
Appears to be about to play Tropical Island. There it is.
Yep.
Pass
Not
back.
a lot of heat from Nick.
No.
Not that this deck has a lot of heat, but if it did.
All right. So untap.
Upkeep. Draw. Before main phase.
Click. Yeah.
Vendilion Click. And I don't believe Josh has an actual way to deal with that right now. He's got a disenchant. I believe it's a surgical. It's not a counterspell.
Looking at these deck lists, though, you gotta, speaking of Michael J, you gotta ask who's the beatdown, and I think Josh is the beatdown deck list wise.
I think that with as few win conditions as he has a whole lot more than Nick.
Yeah.
And so
each copy of Lingering Souls representing 4 win conditions on its own.
Nick sees Disenchant, Polluted Delta, Swords of Plowshares, and a
you said Polluted Delta.
Yeah. And Josh, he lets him keep him. Josh cracks it, cracks that Polluted Delta, gets a Tundra.
Shuffles away that surgical extraction.
No, I think that surgical's still in his hand. Is actually in his hand.
Oh, okay. I thought he shuffled it away, but that may be what he drew. That is what he drew. Yeah.
Yep. Swords of Plowshares gets rid of that Vendilion Click. Once again, Nick Spagnolo pretty light on the win conditions. So Josh, using every opportunity he can to try and get one out of his deck. He's gonna try and sort of attrition him out.
Yeah.
Josh knows he has more win conditions, so we can just take away all of Nick's.
Yep.
Then he should be in a good spot.
Match him Jace for Jace, and
right.
Yeah, keep Jace off the table, keep Nick's creatures off the table, and that'll effectively deck Nick.
That's very true.
Odd saying Josh is the beatdown, and one of his major plans could be to deck Nick. All right, so Brainstorm from Josh. We know his hand, I believe, has Disenchant and not quite sure. I forgot what the other card was, but we see Swords, land, and he's going to put the Disenchant back along with, looks like Surgical Extraction. That was the other card.
Right.
Looks like he's going
Snapcaster or Disenchant, maybe.
Yeah, he's changed his mind 3 times or 2 times already, but looks like Disenchant Snapcaster is going back. Yeah, so
Do not want these.
Josh's hand now, I believe, well, it is now Snapcaster, Disenchant, Surgical Extraction,
Not Disenchant.
Swords to
I think
Plow.
Disenchant's on top.
Oh, I'm sorry. Snapcaster, Swords to Plowshares, Surgical Extraction, and land.
And there's a Wasteland. This is a card that Josh might be holding this extraction for. There are a few cards that he does want to get out of Nick's deck, and one of them is Wasteland. He does not want to get Wasteland locked with a Life from Home.
Yeah, I like that plan. I like that.
You know, because he wants to have enough mana, basically, to be able to play a Stoneforge and have a Battle Skull and protect it.
Still fetching up a basic land here.
Yep.
Keeping open maybe a different line of play if he decides the Wasteland is not what he wants to get rid of. Has Nick seen that Surgical Extraction?
I don't think he has. I mean, he knows.
Oh, wait, it was his draw. It was Josh's draw
Yeah,
for
no,
that
he
turn,
has
right?
seen-
So he
he's-
has seen it.
He's seen it with the Vendilion Click.
So Nick can play around it and just use that Wasteland as a mana source at this point.
Right, right.
All right, so Nick with just land go,
Snapcaster.
Snapcaster from Josh.
We imagine this is going to get a Brainstorm.
Oh, it gets a Spell Snare here. Spell
Meets
Snare.
Doom.
Snapcaster goes away. Josh thinking here.
Huh? There's a question of which lands he has in play, how he has in lands, I don't know.
Well, he played that Polluted Delta last turn. Oh, maybe
he's
Nick
going to
stopped
Wasteland
him
it.
before he's saying, you know, I think maybe end of turn he wanted to Wasteland it.
All right. Draws on the swords. Josh settling in for the late game. Pass the turn back. He appears to have no plans to win this game quickly. He thinks he's in a good spot with his hand. He's in a good spot to sort of attrition all of Nick's win conditions out.
Nick with Inquisition of Kozilek. Josh responds with Snapcaster Mage. Apparently has resolved.
Rise of Brainstorm.
Snapcaster
That'll get
attempts.
Spell Pierced.
Brainstorm gets the Spell Pierce. So Inquisition still on the stack here. Oh, Spell Pierce I believe has resolved. Right?
Spell Pierced resolves.
Yeah, it definitely resolves.
He's looking at if he wants to Surgical Extract something. It appears.
Appears that that's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. He's probably getting rid of something.
And
The
go
Wastelands could be
Swamp.
something
Yep.
else? Maybe he has enough basis now that he's not too concerned about the Wasteland. It's no longer as backbreaking. So what card does he want to get rid of? Now he wants to get rid of Jason's. That's what he'd like to get rid of. It's not really an option just yet.
Alright, so he's going to cast the Surgical Extraction. Targeting Wasteland, so
Yep.
that is indeed what he's going for. And we see Nick's hand of Dark Blast, Snapcaster Mage, Liliana of the Veil, and Knight of Souls Betrayal.
Yep. The card that Mike Flores warned
Would be Nick's downfall,
would be
I think.
next downfall to cast it. So interesting thing about Surgical Extraction. I don't know if you've ever cast it on Magic Online.
I don't think I have. I don't remember.
But you have to choose the cards in the graveyard. You target it and target create a card in the graveyard, and then you have to choose it also.
Oh wow! So like almost you can fail to find
You
the
can
one
fail
in the
to find the
graveyard.
one in the graveyard, and people have talked about doing that. And I guess there was a tournament I heard about recently where somebody did that, and they cast their extraction. They targeted their opponent's wasteland or card in the graveyard, searched their hand and library, removed the other 3, left the card in the graveyard. And then there was a question of does that card go away? Was the intent to remove it, or by the rules of the game, you have to actually say, I'm removing that card from the game.
Wow.
But not the case here. Josh removes the wasteland. As you can see, it is turned kind of askew, sitting there, RFG'd.
Yeah, it's very odd because by the very nature of targeting it, you've clearly found it.
Right.
It's just odd that there's this odd
but
technical
it's not a
kind of
matter of failure to find. It's like choose a card and remove any number of copies.
Yeah. So Snapcaster into the red zone. Yep.
Gonna sack. I imagine he's gonna find yep. Finds a underground, and presumably he's gonna Dark Blast that Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah. Both players doing a really good job of keeping the area clean.
Yeah. No, pesky permanents mucking up this board.
Back in Cincinnati, JVL and I were doing, I think it was a mono green mirror in standard, and we were like, wow, these aggro decks, they're too complicated.
They are very complicated.
Let's go with the control decks that can clear the board. Much simpler.
No combat math needed. Just
Yeah.
in for 2.
Exactly.
A Jace for Nick off the top. And
Fate Seal.
oh, and he's right into Fate Seals now.
Yeah, he is using Jace, I think, as the win
As the
condition. I
win
think
condition,
Mind Sculpting is what's his
And I
next
like
plan
that.
here.
I like that. He's just going to
Fate Seal you.
He's going to go
Alright.
straight for it.
And of course, Josh can fetch here to change the top card of his library.
Knight's of Betrayal is going to shut off most of the cards in Josh's deck. Most of the creatures. Makes it very hard for him to kill Jace the Mind Sculptor.
So, I have not seen a Lingering Souls in when Josh has been fetching. I wonder. I mean, not that I've been looking every time. Is it possible that he boarded those out in anticipation of Nick's plan?
That's possible. That would be. I mean, that would be some
Nice little next
real
level magic.
next level thing to do. Like,
Another fetch land for
I
Josh?
couldn't imagine doing that myself.
All right, so Nick gonna believe Fate Seal again,
Yep.
and again, Josh has the fetch land to change the top card. So Nick says keep it. Josh says I'll change it. So I see Engineered Explosives. Trying
Yep.
to take a look through. He grabs a
Have you
Tundra.
ever left a good card on top when they have a fetch land in play? Just
Right,
sit there
I
sad?
have done that. I love doing that kind
Just
of
so
thing.
when they peek afterwards,
And
they're just
you're
like,
like-
ah. And you're like,
it was Jace.
you're like,
I
gotcha.
left you with your own Jace on top.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I love, that's fun. It's just, those kind of plays are actually more fun sometimes than winning a game that's
Yeah, they
very
are.
winnable. Like, guess what I
And
did?
another turn, Josh does not have a way to do with Jace. So imagine, once you're this deep into picking up Jace, you just got to go the whole way.
All right, that's 11 counters on Jace. And
And
it's a land on top.
Only one
For
more
Josh.
turn for Josh Ravitz to draw
All right, here we go.
a way to deal with this Jace.
Fate Seal you, 13 counters on Jace. Keep it again. Josh can't change it. And Josh looks, it's Academy Ruins, picks up all his lands, and
And that's that game.
that's that game. Mind Sculpted.
Yep.
And I can't say I'm disappointed to see Jace Mind Sculpt.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
I love Jace.
Of course you do. You have affinity
I
for
love
blue.
the mind sculpting. I mean, brainstorming is awesome, obviously, but seeing Jace.
But sculpting their deck?
Yeah, that's nice.
What do you want left in your deck? Oh, you got a land. Well, what else? That's it. Just a land. Have fun.
So, JVL has said a couple times this weekend that versus Nick Spagnolo, JVL mind sculpted Nick, and Nick won that game.
How?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
So
crazy
that's
talk.
pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
That is very impressive. I like that. I like the stories. It's kind of like the guy this weekend. There was a tournament where, a match this weekend where one player was playing Sneak and Show.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that.
Snuck into play in Emrakul. I don't know how Emrakul sneaks anywhere, but he snuck into play. He attacked. He wiped out the opponent's entire board. Hit him for 15.
Knocked him to 3 life.
Knocked him to 3 life. and that player still won. You know why? Because that was the only thing that the Sneak and Choke, the only creature the Sneak and Choke guy could draw was that. He was pondering, he was drawing a return, he had all this time, could not get an Emrakul or Progenitus.
So what happens game 2? Game 2, he gets Sneak Attack into play.
Right.
Emrakul again sneaks into play, attacks for all his permanents, knocking his opponent to 3 yet again. And yet again, loses.
Ugh.
Loses. Emrakul, not good enough. Wizards, if you're watching, we need something better than Emrakul. We need a creature better than Emrakul, because this is just ridiculous. I mean,
it is.
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, make it. You just don't give it a casting cost at all.
Yeah, free. It's
None.
Emrakul for free.
When it
with
enters
flash.
the battlefield, whenever a player would take a turn, you take the turn instead. You get an emblem that says that. An emblem that says whenever a player takes a turn, and also an emblem that says you cannot lose the game. And a third emblem that says 0, target player loses the game.
I think that last part is a little too
But
much.
it's okay. We'll take that off. We'll just give it.
Give it a mana cost.
One, because probably the other interesting thing about it is you can't give the mana cost above 15, or you can't give the mana cost above 20 because then you just open up Erratic Explosion.
Yeah.
Because we already have like 16 with Draco or whatever.
Yeah.
Or 18, I think. You can't get too high, otherwise, we're like, oh, we'll put a 30 mana cost in this, and then we're just going to. And not even going to cast the spell; they're just going to go Erratic Explosion, kill you.
I think what they do, they take Blightsteel Colossus and they just put Annihilator 6 on it. That's it. Same thing, just with that.
All right.
Then he can attack no permanents, and Blightsteel connects for 11 Infect or whatever, 10 Infect.
Blightsteel Emrakul?
Blightsteel Emrakul, yeah. Blightsteel Eldrazi. We already have a name for it.
We have, Future Saturday Wizards, the Phyrexians, meet the Eldrazi. They each corrupt each other.
Yeah.
So now, all the creatures in deck also have Annihilator.
Phyrexian Annihilator, right? Black.
It will be the most popular set ever because people love sacking their permanents whenever they get attacked, and they love dying to poison. There's nothing players love more in the world than those two things.
I mean, we've got next level Phyrexian Obliterator. We got Phyrexian Negator, then we go Obliterator. Now we have Phyrexian Annihilator.
Right.
Which is Phyrexian Obliterator, but it's a 6/6 for 4 black and has Annihilator 4.
And if we cast them at Phyrexian mana, they'll be really balanced because people don't like playing life.
That too, yeah. You could do that. It's 4 black, but it's all Phyrexian mana.
Right. Infect, Annihilator 3.
Infect, Annihilator 3, Annihilator 4, something like that, yeah.
Uber Obliterator. Uber Negator.
Hexproof.
Hexproof, of course. You wouldn't want to get a Shroud because Shroud's not fun.
No, as much as I loved Troll Aesthetic, I was happy when it was a rare ability. Like not as in on a rare, but I mean as
every
in
few sets.
Yeah, it's fine. That's that kind of thing.
It's
But
a dumb green creature.
Hexproof, I like Shroud better because it makes it the tension's there.
I'm okay with Hexproof. As long as it's on big dumb creatures that don't do anything. Not on evasion creatures.
I prefer Shroud because it does have that tension where like I can't equip my guy. I think that's great. I think equipment has obviously taken a major place in the game, and I think Shroud is a lot better of a keyword because of the tension where you can't equip it.
All very true. So Ravitz on the play. First turn, Flooded Strand into Underground Sea. Does he have an Inquisition? Probably. If he's doing this, he probably has an Inquisition. Gonna get a quick peek at Nick's hand, see what he's got, see what he's working with, see what he's up against. Start figuring out how he wants to play this match. The deciding match of this quarterfinals.
All right, we've got Flusterstorm, not something I expected him to bring in.
Innocent Blood, Spell Pierce, Brainstorm, and 2 lands. 3 lands.
Yeah. So, Nick with a reasonable keep there. Brainstorm, fetch lands, pretty good. Nothing too threatening. So what do you take here? I guess you take the Brainstorm. I think I take the Brainstorm.
Yeah, I think take the Brainstorm.
Yeah, Josh takes the Brainstorm.
Then Nick's probably just gonna Wasteland. I have to imagine to draw something.
And can I read Flusterstorm?
Of course,
yeah.
Not a big surprise just to read that.
Yeah.
Out of a recent Commander deck. So Nick could either, he just plays and holds back and He's trying not to get anything spell pierced. It does leave Josh opportunity if he has a Mystic right here, though. Just play the Mystic. Nick can, innocent blood it away, but it would at least get something else into Josh's hand. Josh says, nope, I'm good. Your turn.
Josh with the Caracas to not only protect his own Vendilion Click, reuse, but he can also get Nick's Vendilion Clicks off the table.
Wasteland takes out that Underground Sea. Josh, unfazed, just draws another one.
Yeah, like no problem.
Like a pro.
Got that right on top of my deck.
Yeah. No, you don't need fetch lands. You can just draw them sometimes.
Right. So, Josh plays Flooded Strand.
Yep. He's certainly probably looking to extract these Wastelands eventually.
Yeah.
But he needs to get around Spell Pierce.
All right, Underground Sea from Nick. Swords to Plowshares off the top for Josh. He's got double swords, Disenchant, Inquisition, which is right there, off of the top decked Underground Sea from last turn.
Then Nick has a Flusterstorm, he has a Counterspell, he has a Spell Pierce. So far, only the Counterspell actually counters it. The rest of it, Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm, not stopping in position here.
They kind of do the same thing.
They're very similar. Very similar.
Very similar spell. So he's going to Brainstorm. Apparently, Nick's very good at top decking the card that his opponent just got rid of as well.
Draws 3. We see a Jace there.
All right, so
Jason some land, it looks like.
yeah.
I imagine Nick will put a few cards back here, possibly the Flusterstorm.
I hope he puts a few cards back here.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
that would be good. It's not good when you just Brainstorm and don't put cards back. That leads to short tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, we've already had a Ponder cast as a Brainstorm. We don't want a Brainstorm cast as an intentional recall this weekend.
Each one upgrading.
That was Michael J. Flores accidentally played a Ponder, resolved it as if it were Brainstorm.
Yeah, I think he had both in his hand.
He did, and it wasn't as if it wasn't Legacy, and he did have the Brainstorm, but yeah.
But you cast Ponder, you gotta ponder it.
So we've got, looks like Nick puts a couple cards back, cracks a fetch land, gets some fresh cards on top.
He'll adjust in his hand and say, okay, what do you want?
Oh. His deck trying to shuffle itself.
Flusterstorm now counters
Flusterstorm,
it.
yeah. After that Brainstorm. Flusterstorm makes Josh pay 3. So
Extraction now that he's tapped out. It says Wasteland? Nuh-uh. Get him out. I don't want to get Wastelanded. That card is a huge advantage for Nick in this matchup. Being able to, he's the only one that has Wastelands. So
yeah, so looking at Nick's hand though here, we have Jace, Spell Pierce, Innocent Blood, and Polluted Delta. So
yeah.
Those of you who maybe just tuned in, Nick has an altered art Jace there next to the original art Jace.
He does.
In case you're looking, going, where's the second Jace? What are you talking about?
One is a character from League of Legends.
Yes. There it is.
I don't know who it is, but it is.
It looks. First, I thought it looked like the Rorschach from Watchmen.
It does look a lot like Rorschach
from far away. It also reminds me of like a kind of a Final Fantasy 3 character or Final Fantasy 6, if you prefer to refer to him by the Japanese numbering. But yeah.
And all true fans do. Let's be honest.
Exactly. So Wastelands extracted. Nick plays Polluted Delta, draws a Force of Will, I believe, off the top. And here we have a Ponder from Josh.
Ponder. What will it find? Thoughtseize, Force Will, what it finds.
Wow.
That will strip. If Josh keeps those cards, that is really going to strip his hand. That is going to take care of the Jace. Man.
Whoa. I keep getting caught on the the tablecloth this weekend here.
Now here's the risk for Josh here. If he keeps those cards, he doesn't actually have a way to stop Jace from coming into play. If Nick top decks a land, if he keeps those cards, the next turn he can draw the second Thoughtseize, crack his fetch, double Thoughtseize. Nick will then pretty much have not a whole lot to work with. And it looks like he does keep him.
And he
draws his card. I don't believe he has another land, so he passes. Nick, does he draw the land? It does not look like he did.
He drew Life from the Loam.
Yes, he did. That is a good one. Nick will have a couple ways, it looks like, actually, to protect both Jaces from dying. To Thoughtseizes.
Alright.
And Life from Loam can't get back Wastelands anymore, but what it can get back is a lot of fetch lands.
Yeah. So yeah, Nick cracks a fetch, casts Life from the Loam. Gonna get back. I know he's got Polluted Delta sitting right on top. I believe that's another fetch, though, in between the Flusterstorm and the Brainstorm. I think it's Misty Rainforest.
Yeah. So, Nick, it was looking kind of hairy for him. All of a sudden, he's got a handful of cards. Those, gets back two fetch lands, plays one, and passes. It was looking like Ravitz might be able to use those two Thoughtseizes that the Ponder found to really try and strip Nick of most of his cards.
All right,
it's
so
not gonna happen now.
Thoughtseize number 1 from Josh. Nick was thinking about it.
Yep, he got his 2 Jaces in his hand. He has a Force of Will, he has a Spell Pierce.
He's going to go ahead and let that one resolve.
Yep.
We've got Force of Will, Jace, Innocent Blood, Spell Pierce, and Misty Rainforest. So 6 cards there. Soon to be 5. I assume you take a Jace here and then try to resolve that other Thoughtseize.
I would assume too.
And so what that other Thoughtseize is more likely going to do is take Force of Will, Spell Pierce.
Well, it's going to get its second Thoughtseize
will just just gets Spell Pierce. I'm sorry, yeah.
It just gets Spell Pierce.
Unless Josh drew a land, which
takes the alter one. I don't like League of Legends.
I think I'd take the altered one too, because you know what? I think the original art's really, really good.
Again, you would. You would think that.
Yeah, and also I don't play League of Legends, so I don't even know who that character is.
Fair enough. Maybe you should.
Maybe I should, but you know.
A lot of people do. A lot of people play the League of Legends. They love the League of Legends.
My gaming time is spent playing Magic.
You're a purist. I get that.
It's already hard enough to find enough time to play Magic.
Yep.
Don't need something else taking away from my time playing.
No, you do not. So,
right. So
Josh
here we go.
Plays the second one.
Thoughtseize number 2.
This will get Spell Pierce.
That one gets the Spell Pierce, and Josh says, yeah.
Josh says, yeah, I kind of saw that one coming. One more land, and this matchup would be a little bit different for Josh.
Yeah.
One more land, and you can pay for that. Instead of Spell Piercing, Nick would have had a Force Willed.
And he'd lose the Spell Pierce as well.
Right. And then he can play a Jace, but he doesn't have any backup.
Yeah,
now, all of a sudden, he's able to play a Jace this turn.
But he does not have Force of Will backup because he doesn't have a blue card besides
Well,
Jace.
that depends what he draws. He can,
yeah. At this point, I mean, yeah.
Right, he can
and
choose
he
the
draws.
Brainstorm if he likes.
I didn't see what it was.
Nor did I.
Jace the Mind Sculptor resolves. Josh with the wave of the hand.
Looks like might have been another Innocent Blood.
I definitely still see Innocent Blood Force. There's Counterspell, there's some more fetch lands. Yep. I think there may have been a Mishra's Factory in there.
Could have been.
There's very fast shuffling there. Nick practicing the Kibler Shuffle.
Everyone wants to have the Kibler Shuffle.
Oh yeah. Brainstorm from Josh.
Yeah. Digging. I need an answer for your Jace.
Spell Snare, Swords to Plowshares.
Stoneforge Mystic.
I think there was also a Zealous Persecution in there somewhere.
Oh, interesting.
He's got those. He's got 2 of those in the board.
He does. Life from Alone gets dredged. Dredges
Dark Blast, Inquisition.
no land.
Land. Jace gonna.
+2.
Yeah.
He's doing his thing.
There you go. Gonna try to Mind Sculpt again. Is
He
he gonna
has
be able to do it?
aims on sculpting minds.
Leave it.
He says, give me some more lands. I'll play one of them.
Life from the Loam. Get some fetch lands. Pass back.
Disenchant for Josh. Not doing it. Another blue card.
And Jace
Yep.
on his way.
Another league on top.
Yeah. Well, I
Ponder from Nick.
mean, Josh brainstormed, so he already knows what's on top too. I think he at least knew the disenchant, and I think he knew the next card
Right.
down too. Yeah. So Josh draws Zealous Persecution.
Just I'm hearing some feedback that the stream is stuttering a bit, and so I imagine we'll work on that very soon. There's a report button, problem button on Twitch TV. If you want to hit that, that should help out. We'll see if we can get this all fixed up, because we know that you all want to watch this. Oh,
And
yeah.
in the meantime, Josh realizes he is on the
He's
road
locked.
to being Mind Sculpted.
Extends the hand.
And yeah,
Nick
wow.
Spagnolo.
2 Mind
2-1.
Sculpts
2-1.
on the back of Jace.
Jace the Mind Sculptor, the better match on paper, held up.
Yeah, that was rough though for Josh. I feel like the